Sorry, excuse me, I'm just having a cup of tea. A cup of nice black currant tea, as it happens. Now, I don't drink property. It's not because Karl Marx said property is theft, but I don't drink brown tea. I don't like the taste. I never have. And it doesn't matter how much milk or sugar you put in it. I still don't get it. I love a coffee. I quite like blackcurrant tea. Now, a few years ago, we were going camping with my mother-in-law, and leaving aside the fact that we were going camping with her and she forgot her tent, we'd agreed that the division of catering would be we'd bring the food, they'd bring the drinks. So that meant coffee, brown tea, other types of drinks, including maybe a little bit of alcohol. Well, she said she would bring the red tea. I thought she meant blackcurrant tea. I'd forgotten, however, that my mother used red tea as code for red wine. I don't know why she used red tea instead of wine. Was she trying to pretend in front of my small children that she wasn't drinking wine? I don't know. But in any event, we turned up and not only had they not got a tent, but she had nothing that I wanted to drink because she had pretty mellow birdsy type coffee. She had red wine, which I'm really not very fond of, and she had no blackcurrant tea. It was not the most enthusiastically welcomed weekend. Now, definitions are useful where there might be a misunderstanding as to what red tea might be. But often you see definitions that make no sense, like the parties or this agreement, capitalized, like there's other types of parties they were thinking of. Parties with hats, with drink, with cake, with games. I don't know. And this agreement, were they thinking of a different agreement between the same parties that's got the same date and the same content? Who knows? Year. Do they mean the calendar year or another type of year? A light year? Would that be relevant in your agreement? Now, I understand that day can mean business day or calendar day, and that actually defining a business day is useful because different parts of the world have different working weeks, irrespective of the Middle East kind of being slightly between two stools at the moment. So defining things makes sense if you use the term a lot, and it makes it easier to read. But generally speaking, loads of stuff that's defined in contracts is obvious. My least favourite definition is the one in the JCT, which talks about an architect / contract administrator. 3 words where one would do. The model forms call it the engineer. NEC calls it the project manager. And they have a separate contract administrator called the supervisor. Those are great terms. They make sense. They don't have any other defined requirement. But architect, well, you can only use the word architect if you are, in fact, a member of REBA. It's a prescribed term. Architect / contract administrator, just choose one. I know REBA are part of the JCT drafting committee and they developed the first form of contract on which JCT was based, but really, give it up. This is nearly 70 years later. We don't still need to be reminded of it. Terms that you write should make sense. If you have to define it, what is confidential information? What information you should keep confidential? We kind of know what confidential information is. We know what documents are. Hard copy, soft copy, everything in between nowadays. There are so many things that we try and define that just don't need it. Yeah, if there's a difference between a red tea that you can drink in a cup that's hot and a red tea that you get out at night when you want to have a nice quiet drink around the campfire, well, maybe it's worth defining. But for all other things, we don't really need to. See, your contracts shouldn't annoy your clients. Not because they're too one-sided or because they're too turgid or because they're written by lawyers with all sorts of yuckiness in that is just simply not needed. You can still safeguard your business, but if you don't use reams and reams and tables of definitions, you will do better at not annoying your clients.